The Steam Summer Sale is here, and despite recent reports that PC players have spent $19 billion on games we never play, it's the perfect time to check out some of the best deals on some of the best games. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and here's all of the deeply discounted games you need to check out during the 2024 Steam Summer Sale. Starting off our list are co-op titles, the first of which is probably one of the best 4-player co-op horde extraction shooters ever released. That's right, it's time for some rock and stone. Deep Rock Galactic is currently 67% off, clocking in just below $10, and for that price, you get one of those truly rare games that continues to see new content regularly released for free. Work together with your teammates as one of 4 different classes to dig, explore, and fight your way through massive procedurally generated caves and extract with valuable resources. To make things even better, the developers revealed all previous seasons are being made replayable, getting rid of one aspect of cosmetic FOMO the game once had. It has never been a better time than now to jump in with some friends. If you're looking for a more arcade-style dungeon hacker, look no further than Gauntlet. We'll admit it, it's probably not as good as the original Gauntlet was, but it's a new, modern experience that has you playing as either the warrior, Valkyrie, elf, or wizard, all with their own distinct playstyles, as you cut through both unique and randomly generated dungeons filled to the brim with enemies. You can either pick up a solo copy during the summer sale for $2.99 or grab the 4-pack for $6 and have a genuinely fun night with your buddies, without the need constantly put in those quarters. Helldivers 2 completely took over the world this year, and if you want to see where it all started, well, you can pick up Helldivers Dive Harder Edition for $5. The game is completely different, but strangely, exactly the same, and I have some fond memories of playing this back with friends when it was released in 2015. It's top-down, so not the same perspective, but it's still a riot when you hop on the couch, drop in a couple of mechs, and blast away bugs, bots, and aliens. We played it, we loved it, then it won Game of the Year. It Takes Two has to be one of the most memorable and charming games ever created, and it's now 65% off, clocking in at around $14. It's a co-op game where your screen is split down the middle, and you and your partner have to solve environmental puzzles while also helping each other navigate the world. It's not your prototypical Game of the Year, but it's beautiful, captivating, engaging, all the things you'd hope for a game of this caliber. Do yourself a favor, grab a friend, and check this out. It even comes with a built-in friend pass, so only one person needs to purchase the game. Moving on to city builders and RTS games. Now, when a game is less than a cup of coffee, it's pretty easy to convince yourself that it's worth picking up. That decision is even easier when the game is Frostpunk, a brutal survival city builder that blurs the line between survival and morality. It's one of the darkest games you'll ever play, and as the leader of a failing city at the end of the world, you'll have to make morally gray decisions one after the next. Frostpunk is a game I truly lost myself in when it was first released, and if this genre is even remotely of interest to you, you won't have to think twice about picking it up. For any RTS or Warhammer 40k fans out there, if you're unfamiliar with the Dawn of War game series, it's time to bring them to your attention, specifically the first Dawn of War series. In our opinion, this is one of the best RTS games ever released, and with all the DLCs included, you have access to 9 distinct races to choose from. It's a game that pioneered cover and moral-based systems, featured fully voiced and unique story-driven campaigns, and offered a massive range of multiplayer options. For less than $8, you can pick up the Dawn of War Master Collection, featuring the game and all of its DLC, and if you want to branch into the more modern titles like Dawn of War 2 and 3, you can grab the full franchise pack for $27.99. It's a title that seriously put Relic Entertainment on the map, and one we have always gravitated back to when we have that RTS itch. Pivoting to Souls and Soulslike games. FromSoft, as you know, are the masters of this genre, and back in 2022 they captured the imagination of millions with Elden Ring, a beautifully dark open-world game filled with terrifying enemies and gorgeous cinematic moments. You might be aware that the DLC, The Shadow of the Erdtree, was just released, and if you've been on the fence about playing this one, now is the time to buy, because the base game is 30% off. This is one of those games we'll look back on in 10 years and ask, remember when? And you'll feel like a fool for never playing it in the first place. There's a reason people call Elden Ring a masterpiece, and if you're even remotely into dark fantasy RPGs, you owe it to yourself to play this game. The Surge 1 and 2, in our opinion, are absolute sleepers, and they are some of the better Soulslikes out there. Not as good as actual FromSoft games, but shockingly decent titles on their own. Combat is on the quicker end, parrying being an essential system, and your action genuinely feels strategic and skillful if you hope to succeed. Character progression feels expansive, enemies feel unique and challenging, and build crafting is definitely there. If you're itching for another Souls-like to kill some time, you can pick up the Dual Pack bundle for less than $7. There's no denying we have a huge soft spot for Gunfire games and Remnant 2, and right now, during the Steam Summer Sale, you can pick up the Ultimate Edition for just $35. This includes the base game, the first 2 DLCs, and the upcoming DLC, which will arrive sometime before the end of 2024. For those that don't know, Remnant 2 is essentially a Souls game with guns, but it's far more than that. Snappy gunplay, wickedly tuned boss fights, and more secrets than any game you can remember. There's no game we more fully endorse than Remnant 2, and at 50% off, it's a no-brainer pickup. We are huge fans of Souls games on this channel, that is no secret, and one of our favorite Souls-likes of the past few years is on sale for $30. Lords of the Fallen tries to bust out of the typical Souls framework by experimenting with new systems like the Umbral Lamp that lets you rip the souls from enemies, as well as a unique dual world mechanic only possible because of Unreal Engine 5. The game is just as dark and gritty as you'd expect from the genre, and while not perfect, it is still a whole lot of fun. Alright, let's talk about some shooters. Over 10 years ago, Warhammer 40k Space Marine, a visceral, action-filled third-person shooter, rocketed onto the scene. It was complete with an engaging campaign, a horde mode, and even a full 8v8 PvP arena mode, all set on an Imperial Forge world against a million-strong orc horde and a chaos invasion. Over a decade later, this game still shockingly stands up to even some modern titles and is one of the most engaging entries in the 40k franchise. With Space Marine 2 slated to release later this year, now is the perfect time during a quiet period to dive into some Space Marine for only $18. Atomic Heart got a ton of flack when it was released last year simply due to its developer being Russian in origin. We don't often pay attention to most of that stuff and prefer to simply judge games based on their gameplay, systems, and story where applicable. And let me tell you, if you enjoy games in the same space as something like BioShock, then Atomic Heart is right up your alley. With its skill-based combat, diverse ability skill trees, and robust weapon progression, the memorable dialogue and narrative is just the cherry on top of this murderous, robot-filled utopian environment. All things considered, Atomic Heart is a fantastic first-person shooter with a solid range of challenging puzzle elements, and for only $24, you'll easily get your money's worth with this title. Shifting gears to survival games, let's start with one of our favorites. After a year of early access, V-Rising came out swinging with its recent 1.0 release. A vampire-themed survival game we absolutely loved every second here we were fighting across Verderon. The game features a unique progression system called V-Bloods, bosses you have to kill to gain access to new powers and crafting recipes, and that's just one aspect of the PvE gameplay. V-Rising also features incredible base building and some of the most fun PvP you will ever have. Just make sure you're on a populated server. The game is currently 30% off, clocking in at $25. We've spent a lot of time in the backyard playing Grounded, an open-world survival game, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids style. For $20, you can scoop up a game that you will absolutely get lost in, sinking hundreds of hours into fighting bugs, building bases, and exploring different biomes within the backyard. We covered this game when it first launched into early access, and since then the team has continued to expand every aspect of the game, adding new parts of the world, interesting weapons, and expanding crafting and building exponentially. This is a no-brainer at this price point, and if you can convince a few friends to play with you, it's an absolute riot. Let's take a look at some Creature Collectors. A game we covered heavily during its development and even past its 1.0 release was Temtem, an absolutely charming and extremely polished monster collector game that was never shy to acknowledge their love and inspiration from Pokemon. Like any young Temtem tamer, you'll set off into the massive airborne archipelago, a series of distinctively themed floating islands that feature every biome and Temtem type imaginable. You'll engage in double battles with a completely unique stamina-based move system and no RNG combat elements, making each fight a puzzle you must plan for and adapt to on the fly. Even though updates have stopped flowing for the game, all cash shop elements have been changed to be earnable entirely through endgame rewards, and at a steep discount coming in at just $18, even playing through the story and post-game content alone is more than worth that price tag. On the other end of the spectrum, if you ever wanted to see what Pokemon Platinum mixed with Persona and a splash of puzzle elements you'd find in A Link to the Past, then you'd have this gem, Cassette Beasts. This creature collector is truly a unique one and arguably one of the best monster collector games on the market, featuring fully animated turn-based combat sequences, a fusion system that creates unique and powerful monsters from two existing ones, and a charming yet cheesy story to enjoy all along the way. You can even join up with friends in multiplayer to explore the open world, battle, challenge each other up to 1v1 duels, and engage raid beasts with up to 8 players. It's honestly one of the best creature collectors out there, and for only $12, it's an absolute steal during the summer sale. Next up, we have some steep sales for RPGs. What was an absolute buggy, incomplete mess 4 years ago is now one of the best and most immersive RPGs to date from the magicians over at CD Projekt Red. Yes, we're talking about Cyberpunk 2077, and if you are one of those players who haven't given this game another chance, now is absolutely the time if you've got a couple dozen hours to spare. Dive into Night City, get wrapped up in the high-stakes mercenary world, build a character to suit your playstyle, and unravel the story you are absolutely thrust into. At a steep discount of $30 for the base game or $51 for the base game and fantastic Phantom Liberty expansion, the value is absolutely there. If you love exceptional writing, interesting characters, meaningful choices, and an open-world experience that lets you shape your narrative path how you see fit, Cyberpunk 2077 is probably a game you should look into. When a game wins over 32 awards, including multiple Game of the Years, the internet at large pays attention. If you didn't guess it, we are of course talking about Baldur's Gate 3 on sale at a historic low of $47.99. This is certainly the steepest purchase on the list, but if you're a fan of games like Divinity: Original Sin and the rich worlds of Dungeons & Dragons, there are few games, if any, that can compete with the sheer level of content and replayability that Baldur's Gate 3 has to offer. With 12 classes and 11 races to choose from, you'll make a hero truly your own and set out on an expertly written adventure that the only barrier to finishing is how creative you get with your solutions to puzzles, combat, and quests along the way. Play solo or with up to 4 friends in a classic D&D-like experience, and what we can only say is hundreds of potential hours of pure enjoyment from a team that clearly understands what it means to put the player first. Before Cyberpunk, there was The Witcher 3, an open-world RPG that has sparked a wave of pop culture fervor over the past few years. The base game is now a whopping $4, a historic low, and the Wild Hunt Edition, which includes all of the major DLCs, is only $13. This is the perfect game to sink 100 plus hours into, especially if you're a fan of long quest lines, epic boss battles, and narrative-driven adventures. CD Projekt Red absolutely nailed this game, and up until very recently, the DLC was rated as the best expanded content ever released, so if ever there was a time to scoop this up, it's right now. One of the best Harry Potter games of all time is now the cheapest it's ever been. Hogwarts Legacy is the first real open-world wizarding game inspired by the books, and it's an absolutely amazing adventure. Even if you're not a huge fan of the pop culture, it's still a damn good RPG with some really great exploration, engaging magical combat, and enough secrets to keep you busy for quite some time. It's also one of the first games where you can fully explore Hogwarts, and it actually feels magical, which is a huge selling point. The game is on sale right now for $25, a new historic low for the title. I am Vengeance, I am Night, and I am absolutely on sale for $2. We are of course talking about Batman Arkham Knight, the final entry in the critically acclaimed Arkham trilogy, offering up the complete Batman experience. You'll be able to either race or fly through Gotham City via the Batmobile. If you've never played an Arkham game, do yourself a favor and just pick up the entire collection for $9 and enjoy one of the best narrative experiences in Batman history. It's also just nice to listen to Kevin Conroy's stellar voice acting again. Rest in peace, brother. You are sorely missed. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was one of the biggest surprises for us back in 2021, and honestly, is still one of the best superhero games of all time. We genuinely didn't expect to enjoy this as well as we did, but stand by our review, which was absolutely glowing. You play as Star-Lord, utilizing all his iconic attacks and gadgets while directing the focus and attacks of the other Guardians on your team during each leg of the adventure. The classic Guardians humor is here, with witty lines, a rockin' soundtrack, and moments that will both make you laugh and get a bit torn up over. It is a great experience, and it's on sale right now for $15. Let's pivot now to some platformers and roguelites. Released in 2020, Ori and the Will of the Wisp is one of the best games I have ever played, full stop. It is a top 5 on my list of favorites, and that's because Moon Studios simply doesn't miss. They understand how to create a beautiful and engaging world filled with memorable moments and characters that stick with you even after the game is over. Add on to that the buttery smooth gameplay and the constant feeling of progression, and you're talking about a game that is not only remarkable, but a masterpiece. Look, Ori is $10, and you'd be silly not to play it, so do yourself a favor and pick it up. Another game of the year is on sale right now for an absolute steal. Hades completely redefined what excellence is for a roguelike game, and even by today's standards, it's still one of the most impressive and addicting games you'll ever play. Supergiant is on another level here and masters at creating worlds, developing characters, and wrapping it all in a package of absolute excellence, and that's exactly what Hades is. If you like fast-paced action, immersive narrative-driven moments, and the overall aesthetic of Greek mythology, then don't sleep on this game, on sale for $10. If you're looking for a little childhood nostalgia, then how about checking out the Spyro Reignited trilogy, because what's better than one game for $13.99? 3 games, of course: Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Rito's Rage, and Spyro Year of the Dragon, were all beautifully and faithfully remade by the absolute wizards over at Toys for Bob. Re-explore the expansive realms, platform your way through numerous challenges and puzzles, and relive the adventures with the one dragon we all grew up with. It's genuinely one of the most impressive remakes to date and absolutely worth the massively discounted price tag. Alright, let's end with some must-play indies. If you are looking for an indie gem and aren't absolutely scared shitless of the ocean, like I am, Dave the Diver is one of the few indie titles that is packed to the absolute brim with unique activities, combat experiences, and narrative moments that just ooze that full-of-heart experience. The premise also just makes you laugh. You are Dave the Diver. During the day, you'll explore the mysteries of the depths of the blue hole. At night, you'll run an exotic sushi restaurant to subsidize your absurd adventures. To win out at the end, you'll need to be successful at both. It is a title chock full of minigames, side quests, and numerous storylines under a single, wacky coat of paint, and for only $14, we cannot recommend this game enough. Inspired by the Legend of Zelda games of old, Tunic is a really charming adventure where you play as an adorable fox with a big old sword. This is good, classic fun where exploration is at the heart of the experience, and there's not too much pressure from moment to moment. If you like taking games at your own pace and prefer charm over almost everything else, you'll enjoy Tunic for $15. Death's Door is an absolute steal at $5. It's a game very similar to Tunic where you play as a crow that's trying to track down a missing soul. In the process, you'll journey across a number of unique and different biomes, square off against a range of enemies, and discover new secrets that help enhance your skills. It's got a bit more depth than Tunic, but it's still just as charming, and was a game we really enjoyed playing on the channel. So if you're in the market for a new adventure game, consider giving Death's Door a play. So there you have it, some of the deepest discounts in games we personally recommend, available during this year's Steam Summer Sale. There are so many games on sale right now, and I am sure we missed something, so let us know in the comments if there's a game out there worth picking up at a deep discount. Of course, if you like this video and you want more content like this in your feeds, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.